Everybody, here we are with Mark Phillips. Say hello, Mark.
Good morning.
Mark, can you tell us about your walk in the faith of the Messianic faith?
Well, I've been in the faith now, if you will, about 6 years, my wife and I. And fortunately, we both came into the faith together. We both realized on the same morning in separate prayer that we were supposed to observe Shabbat. And so she came downstairs and said, I have something to tell you. And I said, I have something to tell you too. And so we told each other the same thing. She got to talk first. You know how it is with women. In the event, and it's been wonderful. We went out and started looking for a place to observe Shabbat. And of course, that's the first hard thing to do. So we did it ourselves. And then we finally found one group and then another and stuck with it. And eventually wound up forming a group that's still going, called Shofar of Judah in Fayetteville, Georgia.
Now, prior to that, were you both Christians?
We were. As a matter of fact, Spirit-filled Christians. We were part of Assembly of God or Church of God. We go back and forth between the two.
And how was the reaction from people in your church when you started to observe Shabbat?
Paul, the greatest reaction was from my father. My dad is a ordained Church of God minister, but not in the charismatic Church of God. And when I told Dad that I become a charismatic, he thought I'd been taken aboard a spaceship and reprogrammed. When I told him I was Messianic, he was certain that I had gone over to the other side. And when he was 92, he and I were talking, not very long before he passed away, we were talking about the seventh day. And he had these beautiful, clear, blue eyes. And I said, who changed the Sabbath? And he said, they changed it. And I said, Dad, they who? Where is that in Scripture? And his eyes kind of wandered off to the mountain. We was looking out the window, so I changed the subject after a few minutes because he was just, he couldn't get in touch with that basic part. He'd been a Christian for so long, he just couldn't come to terms with that.
Do you see that common in the church today? The leaders in the church?
Oh, I do. I mean, I pass church on Sunday. It's common in the church. And you know, we have friends that we talk to, and some of them, my wife has one friend, I call her Wings, but she has a friend that when she starts talking about something Messianic, goes, la, 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 you know, she doesn't want to hear it. And then another lady whom she's known all of her life, who's in a Baptist church, when she tries to talk about Messianic or Hebrew roots to her, she says, I know my faith. And I've got what my mother and my dad had, and that's where I'm going to be.
Well, you have a group in Georgia. Do you see more and more people coming into this that are leaving the church?
More and more people are coming into it, but still, it's like a revolving door. People come in, and a few stick, but most go back out the door.
What would be your advice to Christians out there concerning the Hebrew roots of Messiah?
Well, my advice is at least learn about it. At least be open to the idea of getting involved in your Hebrew roots. Overcome the church's ideology about we're replacing them. So at least be open to the idea and start studying Torah. Start reading from the beginning of the book and not from Matthew.
Well, for those of them that don't know what Torah is, what is Torah?
The first 5 books of the Bible. And the whole book is there full of wisdom for us to read. And by the way, a lot of prophecy in the first 5 books of the Bible still has not been fulfilled. It's a living book from beginning to end.
And how long now have you been a believer in Yeshua?
Since I was 16 years old.
And you're how old now?
70.
So you've been into the Messianic movement now for how long?
Only 6 years.
6 years. So pretty much you spent a very long time, 50 years or so, in the average Christian church.
Believe it or not, when I was a kid, starting out to elementary school, there were only 2 church schools in our town. One was Catholic and the other one was Seventh-day Adventist. My mom and dad sent me to the Seventh-day Adventist church for several years. They would go to Shabbat, and I would go to my dad's church on Sunday because he was preaching.
I know you're so thankful that you found about Hebrew roots, but what took you so long to depart from the average Christian church. And
Just blinded. That's all.
Wonderful. Now you're in Fayetteville, Georgia. If people want to get in touch with you and your group, how can they do so?
Well, they can get in touch with me by emailing mptosh@comcast.net.
And does your group have a website?
They do not.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
Come out of the world, oh my people, seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yahweh's ways, Torah Life Ministries, come out of the world.